All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consideration of the moratorium on the hyperscale data. Tim, you wanna give us some info?
What info are you looking for?
Whatever you
We
got
want
to share.
all the answers.
What do you got to share?
So what we're looking to do, well, I should say what we're looking to do. What we've discussed is a potential development moratorium, which is authorized under state statutes. And essentially gives you up to a year, and you can do a 6-month extension to amend the ordinance. Ultimately, you'd have to adopt a resolution. You'd have to have a justification for why you're doing it, either based on public health and safety concerns. And so you'd have to have a qualified public health official provide a letter or report as to why it's a threat to public health and safety. Or you can have an engineer saying that it would pose significant risk or threats to our public utilities. So I think it would probably fall under the former. That's what most of the towns are doing it under a public health and safety. So you do a resolution, you get the report, and then ultimately you hold a public hearing with a minimum of 30 days notice. So the earliest we'd probably be able to do this, if we were to go down this path, would be in a couple months. I have not prepared a resolution for you tonight, although you could pass a resolution and I can draft it after that. It could be reflected in that. So there's nothing to prevent you from doing it tonight. We don't have a report yet. We haven't requested a report. You guys have to direct me in terms of what you want me to do on that. So moratorium, the statute doesn't specify what the time can be. It could be up to a year with an option to extend for an additional 6 months if good reason shows. Now, what it means and doesn't mean for a moratorium is you have to do something that comes out of it, right? You don't have to necessarily adopt an ordinance. You can change your ordinance. You can, depending upon the investigation and discovery that you go through, you can choose to say, I don't want a data center. You can choose to say, I want it on these terms. You can choose to say all sorts of things, so long as it's consistent with the research that you've conducted. So a moratorium kicks you into doing something, okay? So you can't pass a moratorium and just wait. So that's what you guys need to understand. And the reasonable diligence that needs to be undertaken here is, in my opinion, fairly significant. I think the comment before, and it was something that I had thought about, I think Turtle passed their moratorium, or at least adopted a resolution. They still have to go. I don't know where Beloit's at yet. I'm meeting with them later this week to discuss that and the options available to them. I mean, is it something that could be a joint effort? Potentially. Like we can do an intergovernmental agreement and agree to share costs and expenses associated with that. Again, I mean, it was noted earlier, it's correct. There isn't a project pending. You're under no obligation to approve the project. It's currently not permitted in our zoning ordinance. Could someone make an argument that it's permitted under our zoning ordinance? Maybe. But certainly not on any of our farmland, because they would have to get a rezone. So, and most of our farmland's ag farmland preservation. So that's an added layer of protection.
But that's still not a guarantee, though, from what I read.
For what?
It's not a data center. If it's farmland preservation, isn't a guarantee.
You've got the discretion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you do not have to approve any rezone. So my position is, number one, there is not currently a use spelled out in our zoning ordinance that allows for data centers. I don't think it exists. I think data center is a specific use. And if someone wants to come in and claim that it's a warehouse, I think good luck. I don't think that holds up in court. I could be wrong. So we don't currently have a use that specifies it. We have nothing that restricts the town from doing essentially engaging in exclusionary zoning. If you don't want a use in your town, you have pretty broad authority under your police powers to refuse that use. So you do not have to approve any sort of amendment to your zoning ordinance to add a data center, any sort of rezone into a district that could either arguably be a data center or a newly created data center district or use. So I disagree. You guys have broad discretion.
That's just what I read, some stuff I read. And I had another question is, let's say they built that data center in town of Beloit. In the paper, they said that they were gonna put north of the data center, they were gonna talk about building utilities and all that stuff for the data center. That would be in our township. So
It could be, right? Like, I mean, the answer is I
could-
haven't seen
so is it-
plans, so I don't know what they're planning.
okay, I just say, cause no, they're talking, if somebody wanted to build a battery storage. Well, I don't know, most people think that's probably tied to a data center. So, so how could, so is there any way to stop, besides data centers, the infrastructure to support a data center?
If you wanna try.
Cause if they build a data center there, they're gonna
Yeah.
get all the tax money and the benefits, and we get stuck with the batteries and
Right.
the transformers and
All
all that crap.
parochial stuff.
So I mean,
We get the water wells in our land.
it depends. I mean, the answer is it depends on what the use is. So for example, the LNG facility, right? That was controversial, but that was already identified for public utility use within that zoning district. So it was much more difficult for us to be able to.
Well, it's pretty hard to stop a public utility.
It is.
A power line,
Correct.
gas line,
Well, but
that's almost
But
impossible.
in our zone, we have broad discretion in our zoning ordinance, but we had as a conditional use in the M2 district, public utility infrastructures and plants and things, I can't remember the exact definition. But that's where it gets a little bit more difficult, is when you have that use spelled out. So that's my long way of saying, I don't know what the potential use is that you're referring to. If it's something that fits to within what that zoning district is, then then we have a problem if it's a permitted or a conditional use. I don't pick sides on this. I'm just saying, if your desire was to stop it and it's permitted or conditional in that zoning district, I think we have an issue, right? So, but do you have the obligation to rezone something? No, I don't think so. It's not an absolute right.
Even if the landowner wants to rezone their property, we say, oh, you can't rezone your property.
We can make a determination at the time based upon very broad authority that's granted to the towns to determine whether we think that is a good use, both in that spot and to the surrounding areas of the town. You're under no obligation to rezone something.
Even if the landowner requests.
Well, it's not a matter of right?
Well,
I mean,
if you own property, you kind of feel like you should be able to do, if
Well,
you
sure,
decide to do something with
but
it.
you don't. It's
You
not a
don't,
vested right to zone your
No.
property to whatever. It's gotta, so for example,
Like farmland, you can't
What-
divide it into
one major
residential.
impediment to rezoning is consistency with our comp plan, right? Our comp plan doesn't currently, other than the commercial corridor along 51, some industrial corridor along Town Line Road, we're pretty heavily residential and agricultural. To make the kind of changes you're referring to, our comp plan would have to have a fairly significant overhaul. One, it doesn't even contemplate the use. Now, again, I don't know specifically what use you're talking about, but it doesn't seem to even contemplate the type of uses we're considering here. So I think the state statutes provide towns with village powers with significant authority and discretion. So I think we've got broad authority and discretion to do it. Again, I would say the decision on a moratorium is more political than it is practical, but that is your call. You guys get to make those decisions.
So we wouldn't, if somebody came to us and we could just say that they're not allowed in our township.
Well, so here's how the process would work, right? If I am data center developer, I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna petition you or file an application for you to amend your zoning ordinance to allow for data center usage within the towns, to rezone whatever property it is to that district, or if it's already zoned M1 or M2 or what have you. Apply for zoning permits, conditional use permits, that ultimately is a risk to the town because there's an argument that they've now got vested rights into that. But I don't think it's a huge risk personally, because we don't currently contemplate those uses within the town. So they have a vested right to do what? To apply for a use that doesn't even currently exist. Now, again, if they say, well, we're applying for it under a warehouse theory, which is what happened in Beaver Dam. Beaver Dam, they did nothing. They went in, and essentially this is before things became what they are today. And they got permitted use within an industrial district and got their permits and went away. They didn't even have a development agreement. So, heck if I know, right? I don't think so, but I don't know.
I just use the data center. AI says that data is a commodity, and that just makes one clarification. So it does permit and manufacturing, processing, fabrication, or production of any commodity. Hard pressed to argue that data is not a commodity. It's commerce.
At the time that was drafted, right? I mean, and so my feeling
Just making
is,
sure that all the
no,
information on the table-
but my feeling is, because I think warehousing is also a potential risk. But for someone to come along and say, we are going under this theory that it's a warehouse or it's a commodity as defined in the zoning ordinance, in light of today's understanding and definition of what those terms may mean, I would think a court would be hard pressed to say, oh yeah,
Sure.
you get to have it. And even under that theory, I believe it would be a conditional use. Is it a conditional use or is it a permitted use?
Permitted.
Okay, that makes it tougher,
And
right?
that's my concern,
Yeah.
is that I think someone could make a compelling argument,
Fair,
and that, again, makes it your
yeah,
advice.
no, I agree, it's a good point. Yeah, so, I mean, and so, under that theory, you file the application, you don't even have to file an application, you go seek your building permit and say, this is what I'm building. Now, that's in M2. I don't think we have a lot of M2 land, and, along town line, those aren't very big parcels, though. Are they?
The LNG plant's all.
Yeah, but that's,
I mean, that's.
but that doesn't go back all the way. There was a couple big M2 parcels. Do you remember, Tony, what size of
Is
those
it,
lots we have?
is it Hendricks behind it? That's resident or?
That's the AFP.
Yeah.
Nutrient Ag is M2. Where the trust company was, I believe is M1. That's where Shine is in there now. And then behind that is M1, and then there's some M2, I believe, east of there. And then there's a strip of R1.
Right,
But it's localized to that.
Correct, yep.
that corridor, which is where they're looking, right? I just don't think it's a ton of acreage, but yeah. So that would be a reason why you may
But
want to
like-
consider it, but
M1 stops at Dugan. But they would, but then it's AFP. And that's where the battery place where they're gonna go.
Right.
But it's joining M2, so I mean,
so let me ask you this, what would be the objective that you would want to see? And you don't have to decide this now, but what I'd want to know from you, if you're inclined to do a moratorium, that's totally your call. What are you looking to see from it? Like what would you like to come out of it? Because that's a question you have to ask yourself. Because what it does do is it makes you do something, right? And
well,
so
I thought they would maybe that we could go through our zoning and make sure that that's not, that popped up and maybe, correct it so that they can't, they'd have to get a conditional, I mean, they just can't go in and do it. Like that, like he said, that was a permitted use. You could, change that to conditional use. That way you had a chance to stop it, but you don't cut commodities out.
right, you'd have to, but not including,
So, I mean,
yeah,
but there's a lot of zoning I'd like to go, cause you said it, and it would be permitted in ag, not AFP, cause ag allows for fuel storage, well, that was for the battery, I think.
No, it's true. Yeah, I don't think that would apply here, the data center.
Right,
But, or battery storages, but that's another thing that if they're gonna,
well, fuel storage, but when this thing was written, you couldn't even say battery storage. It was
yeah,
for other
so I mean,
types.
that's some of the things that maybe go through our zoning and try to update it so it would cover.
Other
the-
issues,
kind of the-
other issues associated,
yeah,
cause like, well,
if they were, like that battery thing we were talking about, cause then it's, in A1, it would be permitted.
Mhm.
Well, that wasn't intended, it was for the farmer to store diesel fuel and stuff, not,
Right,
no,
now battery fuel.
not batteries.
so if one thing that would come out of it would probably be updating like those, clarify that, what it meant in 1982 and what we mean it is now. And also, is it a commodity or is it, I mean, define it so we know where it belongs in
Well, I
here,
don't
if
think we
it
can
belongs.
define it, but.
Well, I mean, that'd give us time to find out how it is being defined in other places. I mean, so if we are gonna modify this, we know what to modify and where to modify.
And the goal is to do what at that point in time? Is it to fully restrict
Yes.
data centers? Okay,
No, I don't.
restrict
Pretty much, I mean, mega data, or the, whatever.
Right.
hyperscale.
The hyperscale, yeah, cause there's plenty of data centers that fit in a 10 by 10 little room. That are, I mean, they've been building them up at Cupertino, and they take them all apart and they ship them all over the country. That's one thing, I don't think nobody's really opposed to something like that. The hyperscale ones were using all the water and all that stuff, I mean, it gives us a chance to actually define it.
So, and I do think you'll have to come up with a reasonable justification for it. Now, I'm not suggesting that one doesn't exist, but the three of you can't make the determination that it is too much, right? You'll have to rely on some reports and some studies that you'll have to commission to be able to say, okay, based upon this,
What by definition makes it a hyperscale, and that's just a big one.
I mean, this is all in the terms, right? So, but I think you would have to go through that process to figure out, okay, what is the exposure here? What are the risks? And what are some of the objective standards that we would rely upon to be able to say, at this level, we're only allowing data centers up to this level, right?
I don't really think the only, because they're gonna want, transmission lines, we have quite a few big transmission lines in the township. And they're gonna be one, that's the area they're gonna target, they like to buy the power plant or buy the big transmission lines. And that's like, where the big transmission line, that's basically all ag land.
Correct.
So, I mean, I think that's what they're, town of Janesville, that's what they went and did by that big transmission
Yes.
line. So that's what they're kind of looking at. So we can protect our,
If it's ag, right?
yeah, if it's, ag. I mean, people sure don't want it next to their houses either, but.
Yeah, I mean, and those are policy decisions you guys can choose to make.
I mean,
within-
we've always kept the west side of the township basically ag. But that's where they would be going after, something like,
Next to the power line.
big big power line. So I think that's what we would, cause I don't think maybe on a town line road by Dugan going west, there's a big area there. But otherwise, anything else, I don't think there's enough big areas that are open on this, on the east
Yeah.
side. But I think if they were gonna, that'd be close to the power plant, that area there. Otherwise, it'd be farther out.
Well, again, you can take this in whatever direction you want, right? Like you can try and say that, again, this would involve likely looking at our comp plan if you wanted to designate certain areas within the town.
Our comp plan, we gotta redo next year.
We do. So maybe we do this as part of our comp plan. Maybe we maybe we try and kill two birds with one stone. I know we didn't budget for it, but for this year, but maybe you bring someone in to look at the comp plan and deal with this issue all at once. We can deal with the,
Now, the county, did they get theirs completed then?
I don't think they're done yet. I think
no,
they're
they're
still-
not.
yeah.
He said,
Yeah,
reach
okay.
back out in the fall, because we gotta
Yeah.
recertify farmland.
That went to
occupation.
one of the meetings.
Yeah.
Gotta recertify our farmland?
Yeah.
Preservation.
So, sky's somewhat the limit on what you guys can be looking for. I hate the idea of going through the zoning ordinance, making sure there's nothing inconsistent based upon where we are in 2026 versus where we were. I think the rewrite was 2014, wasn't it?
That's when we added farmland preservation.
Didn't we amend we just amended the zoning map.
Right.
Yeah.
The map was done in 2014.
I think we had Fred when we did that.
Farmland
did.
preservation, and that was basically in just a copy of what we had insert state.
Yeah.
So,
But I know they said that we were one of the only one or two townships that are good this year, or not till next year.
We were supposed to recertify last year, and they kicked us into this year. Because they weren't ready. Maybe
You
the
got
county
an
wasn't.
extension.
Yeah, county wasn't ready, yeah.
But-
So what I would suggest, if you wanna entertain it, I would go through and I would get a report specifically generated for us. Then we take it by resolution, and then you schedule it for public hearing for the following meeting. And we can call special meetings if you want, it's your call, but
Where would you go get a report? I mean,
Turtle used one from a report in Waukesha, from someone in Waukesha, a nurse that opined on public health concerns.
no,
So
that geologist, would she be able to do that?
she has one. Lori has one as well.
I knew you did.
I was just curious, what,
Yeah, I've got it. I've actually got it in my briefcase. So,
Would this be something that we could make our own definition, what we consider data center and where we draw the line? Or
yes,
we could do that, and if we had it injected as, see, I think if you just, in simple terms, if we just said no data centers, that's it, we changed our zoning ordinance, no data centers, that's very prejudicial. I don't know if that was really without cause, I don't think that would be worth it, but if we had it listed, sizes permitted, not permitted, like on a conditional use with a bunch of conditions, is that something that we would?
well, so here's what
Get
I
too
would,
complicated.
in a perfect world, here's what I would like to do. The problem is, in my perfect world, it costs a lot of money to do it, because what I would love to do is I would love to go through and create a data center zoning district that spells out what a data center is, number one, what data centers are allowed, and what they would have to meet, the criteria, very specific criteria that they would have to meet. And in my mind, they all exist, right? We'd have to amend our comp plan to create that district. We would have to then have all of those conditions met before we would ever even entertain rezoning into that district. That is, in a perfect world, how I think municipalities should approach this. The reason I say that versus a conditional use permit is because you have broader authority to rezone land. You have broader authority to deny rezoning than you do a conditional use permit. Your reason for denial of a conditional use permit must be a substantially related reason and have a high level of pertinence to the actual use that's being requested. It's harder after Act 67 to deny conditional use permits. It is less hard, gives you more power and discretion to be able to deny a rezone. Now, if we're creating this district, that's where we would address hyperscale versus non-hyperscale, and we've got to work out all the definitions. But that's where you start getting, if you're going to start, in my perfect world, if you're gonna start putting forth all of these conditions, I can't come up with those conditions. I talked with Sigma the other day, they could, right, like environmental, noise, air quality, water usage, power usage, right? Like, they can go down the list and either directly or working with other parties, start developing what standards need to be met. That's an expensive proposition. So if the will of the other towns is to do something along those lines, then maybe it makes sense to do some cost sharing and come up with a very similar ordinance. That's a possibility, but I don't know that our interests are gonna align with the town of Beloit or the town of Turtle. I don't know. We may say we don't want data centers over X size. They may say, well, we're fine with that, but we don't want them over this size. And one may say, I don't want them at all. So that's kind of the risk you run here. Anything to add to that?
Representation. Tony was confused.
No,
Good.
there's obviously a lot of people sitting in this room that are opposed to all of that. If we did do something like to do that moratorium, people that are so passionate about it, could they have a committee and maybe come up with a whole list to do a lot of that legwork for us, come up with what things that their concerns, the concerns of how we address them and how we can fit them into ours.
She gave a very,
I could say what she said, what you emailed to us included all that, if you guys would look at your
yeah, and to
emails.
be clear, no offense, those are the concerns, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're well thought out. They've been out there for.
Well, every meeting,
months.
they
But how
said
do
the
I-
same thing over
Right.
and over. It's
How can I take those and
You need water, electric
incorporate them
use.
into it, into
noise,
You're-
water.
into
if
our
you-
zoning?
If you want to do it well, you need to have very specific scientific objective standards to do it. And I can't do that. Right? So we need to bring someone in who can.
I'm just taking minutes here. Would you say you're not qualified then to do that?
I'm hardly qualified to walk. So that's the problem, is once you start going down that path, you start opening the bank, right?
So,
You think I'm
They work
expensive?
Supposedly,
Stormwater.
they're data centers
Yeah.
that they don't need water. And there was a law out there, they were talking about passing, they have to generate their own electricity.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is being done, right? It's being done, and it's being done, I believe, fairly well. What we would need to do is we'd need to research and figure out who's doing it well, who's not doing it well, and try to, I don't think we need to recreate a wheel.
But I mean, I heard that one on the news, it was that one that used where Foxconn was supposed to go. They built one over there, and it was on TV, and this guy lived like a quarter of a mile away, and all he heard was a buzz. It's like, well, I guess I gotta figure out where that's coming from. It's like, there's 24 hours a day. I couldn't imagine having that noise.
Well, if it's in a residential neighborhood, that's a problem, right?
Well, even it isn't. If you live in the country and you got 3 neighbors and if I listen to that buzz all day, that would be.
So all legitimate points. The question is, what do you guys want to do about it?
Well, if we create a moratorium, then we have to have an end result. I mean, a goal, why we need that moratorium. To examine our zoning issues or anything like that. I mean, if we
I
do
think that would be sufficient.
Okay, if we do that, that pumps the brakes until we can get more information. I mean, just a little LNG project. I mean, there's.
That was
so
rammed
many
down our
different-
throats so fast, it was.
And there was so
Yeah,
much more.
we did not have
And we didn't,
a
yeah,
ton of options there.
no, because it was already zoned right.
And I tell you what, if we have to look at our zoning, and everything else, if we get a moratorium, if that would allow us to pump the brakes so we can relook at our zoning, I think that would give us time. And that's exactly,
Eliminate our
Yeah,
M2 zone.
you know, I mean, as long as, I mean, people think, oh, just put a moratorium, that just tells them, you know, go away from 12 months. No, no, in order to make that right, we need that time to do something, is what it is, and I think that's something that I think that we can look at. I mean, I know that 12 months is gonna go by fast anyway.
You're retired,
think
you
a
can
lot more
spend
is
the
gonna
next
happen
year
in the
going
rest
for
of the
all our
world.
zoning. Make sure it can't happen.
The one thing that's good about right now is, when does that clock start?
Well, it starts when you pass the ordinance adopting the moratorium. So that is probably at
And
least 45.
You gotta have at least a public hearing and everything.
We gotta do a resolution first,
Okay,
then we have to do the ordinance. And that ordinance has to come after a public hearing, which needs 30 days notice.
And I need at least a week to get it published.
Can I ask a question? So on the state level, there's the Township Association. And it seems
Yeah.
like a lot of these things are kind of falling into the realm of townships. And I was just wondering if this isn't something that should go to that association and look at the associations coming together and doing more of a global thing. I just was curious.
I haven't seen anything in the
I haven't seen
magazines or anything like
nothing.
that.
No, but I mean, requesting it. from
See a lot of the county, a lot of the zoning in Wisconsin is done by the counties. Rock County, it's all the townships have their own individual zoning. So that's why every township's on their own. A lot of the counties, that's county zoning, so the county takes care of all the zoning. They changed it with 77 or something.
Well, I wasn't thinking about the zoning so much as this idea of the moratorium or the coalition to look at the issues around.
So the problem there is the vast majority of towns that have town zoning, that's really our main controlling mechanism to be able to deal with development, right? So that's, zoning is what we've got, right? We've got some limited land division powers, very, very limited, but we.
I think we already have.
We do.
I would update the language to be very specific and also include what ramification there would be should somebody like violate that. So if you actually do get a data center, you have a way to hold them accountable.
The answer is yes, you absolutely can amend the ordinance to do all of that stuff.
Okay, and
Right.
you don't really need to spend money on a report for that, right? There's like peer reviewed research that's publicly available that you have access to based on.
You don't have to actually have a large study to do a lot of this. I mean, there's information out there.
I mean,
there's
people
other
have spent
examples.
decades, thousands of like peer reviewed things. It doesn't have to be specific to the data center. You just say like, we don't want to exceed this. Here's all the evidence that suggests the negative health outcomes associated with exceeding that decibel.
Well, Tim said you had one from Washington.
Yes, and I have something from Lori. I mean, we can get into the details of all of it. I'm telling you right now, if I'm drafting a zoning ordinance, I am not going to feel comfortable researching and understanding what peer review data should go in there. I would want someone independent to be able to advise the town on what that peer review data says, because I'm certainly not, I'm not speaking for, well, I am speaking for you guys. You guys also aren't. So
Right.
we need someone to be able to guide us through that process who's independent and willing to just look at objective data. And I'm not arguing with you, I'm sure that data is there. It's just, they can't pay me to go through that and find that data. We have to find someone who can provide that data for us, so that way we can make a comprehensive review of the zoning ordinance and make all the changes that we feel are
I think
necessary.
there's a lot of people in Rock County that have experience in health and noise and different things that could actually probably provide you with that data that, I mean, wouldn't cost anything in their experts in their field.
I mean, that's,
You guys have any more questions? What do you wanna do? What's your thoughts?
I'm thinking that we would do that, so at least we get a chance to go through.
and let's see what all our options are.
Yeah, yeah, so we don't, so we're not, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think if we go ahead and request a 12-month moratorium, so we can, number one, go through our zoning.
So I think, why don't we do this? I think your planning and zoning should make a recommendation first. And then for a resolution, we'll get you a report. You can take the report, make a recommendation to the board to ultimately pass, or, I mean, it's up to the town planning and zoning committee if that's your will, but I think it should go through you first. And then you make a recommendation to the town board, and the town board will take action on it. If you wanna call special meetings, that's totally up to you guys. I don't care one way or the other, and we'll just either take it up next month, or you can call a special meeting, and then that, in place, that 30-day window for, so I'll defer to you guys.
That would work with me, cause then you get the report,
And we can just wait till their planning meetings, then you can get more information.
get the report and everything.
But no sharing's gonna happen between now and last Monday of the month, is it?
So, I mean, could it? Yeah. Will it? No. I mean, the reality is, from my sense right now, they're looking for the path of least resistance. The developers that are involved are not looking to come in and sue, because that's what it would take, right? Like, do they really want to get caught up in court for 2 years? They're looking to move quickly to find the places that are friendly to them, and if we didn't, because if they came in now, we would tell them we're gonna deny it, right? Okay, and they're gonna say, well, we think we're a commodity, and you have no right. Sue us, right? Well, now we're tied up in court for God knows how long, right? I don't litigate. So I don't think it's realistic, from just my gut feeling, I don't think it's a significant risk.
The developer that is like trying to build like nearby is currently suing a township in Pennsylvania, and they operate as like a major company and a shell company. They can move their resources out and suffer absolutely no consequences because it's built to protect a larger company, and they could bankrupt the town. And this is not even like theoretical, they're doing, this same company that's coming after us is already doing this to another township. So I just, you're like, that's not gonna happen. It is and does happen.
So I didn't say that's not gonna happen. What I said is, I don't believe it's going to happen.
Cause they kept, like over the they just went to the next town, they kept going to the next township till they found somebody
Correct.
over there.
I mean, what has to come into place, right, is you have to, find a willing landowner. And then you have to make the appropriate applications, find the use that you can put in. Because I don't currently think, under M2 zoning, if you're looking for a hyperscale data center, I don't believe there is enough land at zone M2 currently that would even.
Not in our township.
Not in our township. So, I personally don't see it as a huge risk. Could I be wrong? Yes, I could be wrong.
I'll write that down.
Yes, but I don't think it's a significant risk.
There's a good point brought up earlier about the township association, and I understand that Rock County is different because of our zoning. But what I would encourage you guys to do is maybe all the townships in Rock County get together and work together with those that are interested in putting language together so that everything's consistent in Rock County. It makes all of us much stronger.
Bad part is it's hard to get
Nobody will commit yet.
You have
everybody together.
Lori, it's a great idea. You have a year. Getting all of the towns in Rock County to agree to something in a year
Well,
is,
this issue is
put a hog on the spit, they'll show up.
support to the first thing in a year, in years.
yeah, but you gotta get them to agree on stuff too.
Quite
So-
We
honestly,
had a hard time getting that.
that's the whole reason that Rock
river,
County is
It's
township
still-
zone yet,
No,
not county
it
water
wasn't.
zone.
It was-
Because the towns couldn't agree on letting the county.
Well, I tell you what.
The zoning. So.
We can kick this
Well, it doesn't
can.
hurt to try, but we
We
tried on other things,
go
like
on
the
this.
river, that,
The problem is,
All right, stop. It's getting out of line. It's supposed to be a town board meeting. You guys had your time for comments. Let's just carry
yeah, I
on
mean,
here.
look, the issue is Rock County towns have a divergence of issues.
so we're
Some
gonna,
towns don't even have to worry about it.
so we're gonna
We
send it to
can't
the
talk to
planning.
Rock or town, sort of avoid, I think.
So we're gonna send it to the planning and zoning.
Yeah,
the study.
A recommendation,
And then have them give us a recommendation, what they decide, or come up with,
Correct.
with,
A resolution, we'd adopt the resolution,
yeah.
and then we'd go forward.
with the 12-month moratorium.
Correct.
Can we have that ready by
I can have it ready whenever you want it.
our next meeting, because then our meeting, we can,
100%. If you wanted to call a special meeting tomorrow, I'd get it for you. I'd figure it out. Jeff's retired, he can help.
no, I'm okay with that, that if we move forward with the 12-month moratorium, and I'll send it to, at planning and zoning, we'll send a recommendation to town board, and if they got any input on what they'd like to see or whatever, that'll be good to go. All right, do we need that in motion? or
No,
what?
nope, that's just direction for me. That's what I needed.
All right. Well, then I'll
So
make
you
sure
can get a
that's-
report for it.
I'll figure it out, I'll find one. They're easy to track down these days.
Call Charlie Bear Day. He's an expert in it.
He seems to, yes.
What's that?
We're gonna have the, sent to the planning and zoning, he's gonna write up get a report. We've gotta have a
Public health official or an
engineer, so he's gonna find one, send it to the planning and zoning, they're gonna go at their meeting, and if they agree with it, they'll make a recommendation to the board, and then next time we have a meeting, then we'll vote on, or then we'll have a.
You'll vote on a
public
resolution.
hearing. A resolution, then we'll have a public hearing. And then, if not too many people don't like it, then we can vote for it.
That's correct.
All right, this here.
Can you use the public health order that was used for Town of White?
Town of Lloyd hasn't done it yet, Town of Turtle did.
No, a letter for Town of, public health order was submitted by Brittany, to the Town of Lloyd, you've seen it yet.
I-
You can submit, she can submit the same thing to the town of Scott.
Most likely, yes, we can talk about it after the meeting. Thank you, Lord.
After the meeting, you use the book with 10 minutes left.
Can I go?
You usually sneak out.
I tried to.
Usually got a ball game or something, go pick your kid up.
Not tonight.
What's it, yes, sir?
You like that? That's the report. I know you'll read it, but that's not taken. This is what,
I have the health report in my email, I can send it to you.
Oh, this is one that got emailed out?
this is.
I've got to see.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Tell you what.
Well, I'll read, I need to read now.
No, you don't have.
Well, I'll read
And I
it.
tell you what, I mean, we've been, I wouldn't say vicious, but I'd be back and forth, but I got more information from Shelley. And then I try to sort what I want to do bad. That's our meeting.
Yeah, so, yeah, Shelley put this together. Pretty
Yep.
good. And then there's a, she also sent over